And we're live. Can I zoom in on this? I guess not. Hey, little cat. Alright, see you later. Bye-bye. Now there's no need to be scaring anybody. No need to be chasing anybody. Bye-bye. It's kind of cold out here. Oh, that's pretty. So the fam is inside celebrating a birthday thing. But I thought I'd just come out here for some streaming and some chatting. I guess I did have something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. But also I feel like, isn't that weird? How comes whenever I want to have like therapy or confession hours, I don't have a therapist and I don't have a confessor? Why do I have to use the whole internet? I guess it's okay though. I just feel like it is so spiritually rejuvenating to make confessions. Even if you don't have, even if you don't have the perfect setup or whatever, maybe it's even better this way. The more people that you confess to and the more publicly you do it, the more effective it is. Maybe not, but I guess the thing I wanted to talk about was kind of like maybe me coming out as gay, or yeah, I guess so. I've just been wondering recently, maybe wondering less and just being more willing to accept the suggestion that I am gay without straight up just denying that that's even possible, or denying that. So I don't know. I mean, what is there to confess? I don't know. I'm gay. Hey guys, it's me, I'm gay. Part of the gay thing for me is especially the last couple years, maybe because of everything I went through, I started feeling like the only way for me to survive is I have to cling to my faith and spirituality, and for me that means Christianity. But then I also feel like, well, so many people are going to tell you that well, you can't be gay then. Christians hate gay people. There's no such thing as a gay Christian. And I disagree. Straight up. I'm going to be honest. I feel like, ironically, it's only because of and thanks to my relationship with Jesus that I even feel like I have this comfort accepting myself, and maybe just accept, just, you know what I mean? Maybe not. I just remember before I was ever very religious, before I was ever very faithful, I did have an experience where I was living as a trans woman for a few years. But to be honest, I was kind of I don't want to be too critical of myself. I just had a lot going on. And I think maybe it would be fair to say I was trans, but I was also kind of transphobic. And I was kind of in some same-sex relationships, but I was kind of homophobic. And so there's just all these hypocrisies and contradictions that didn't even make any sense. But it was whatever. I didn't know how to cope or deal with anything. And part of me feels embarrassed or ashamed or How so do I mean? I guess, like, maybe, like, the age thing. I mean, and I know it's not great to be, like, comparing myself to other people in my age cohort. So yeah, I mean, it's probably a failed position to even be starting from, but it does seem like I've been dealing with this arrested development for a big portion of my life, where I was just, like, stuck in a childish or adolescent phase for a really, really long time that I just never made any progress on. But I feel like I have been doing so, more so recently. But what I'm trying to say is, like, man, if only I had understood things more clearly a little sooner. I wonder, yeah, for sure things would have been different. But I'm sure everything's happening at the right time for the right reason. I do have faith in that. So I don't know. I mean, what's been getting into me recently? I've really been powerfully attracted to the Flame of Love devotion, the Flame of Love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. It's a Catholic devotion, and supposing to be supposedly the greatest outpouring of graces made available to mankind since the Word became flesh. So, like, literally, since Jesus was born, the Flame of Love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is second only to that. It is the greatest availability of grace and mercy that has ever happened, besides, like, you know, when Jesus literally came to earth, when God literally came to earth in a human form. And I kind of feel like it's no coincidence that ever since I've started this devotion to the Flame of Love, and what do I mean by that? Like, there was, like, instructions given to a woman named Miss Kindleman, Elizabeth Kindleman, and so she wrote down what she was told, and she basically, she wrote down all these prayers and rituals to perform, saying that, like, I received these instructions from the Virgin Mary, and anyone who says these prayers and does these rituals will receive the graces that, I mentioned a minute or two ago. So I started doing that. I say those prayers as often as I can. I read her spiritual diary. I read the whole thing, and it really moved me. And it for sure really, really just, like, amplified I think it brought me much, much closer to God. Increased my understanding of what is the faith and how do you practice it really. Like, I feel like I read the Bible itself, and for me, that was, like, sort of equivalent to, like, here in the ordinary world, like, that was just going to school. So, like, I read the Bible, and that was me going to school. And then after you go to school, right, then you, like, receive your mission, right? You get your job. After you've been educated, what do you actually do to help your fellow man? Like, what is your work? So I feel like first, I read the Bible, and that was basically just going to school, learning, like, all the characters and what the situation is. But then reading this spiritual diary, I feel like that's what really gave me my mission and was like an invitation to participate in the work, using what I learned in school to participate in the work of, like, Jesus's mission of saving souls. Yeah, that's what I thought of. So anyways, you can almost kind of infer it. I mean, it's called the Flame of Love, and I've really been getting into the Flame of Love. And the whole idea is that, like, Satan is spreading this flame of hatred all throughout mankind, and he's, like, pulling so many souls away from salvation. And basically our tool to resist and fight back against that is to beat fire with fire. But instead of a flame of hatred, we use a flame of love, a fire of love, saying that love repels hatred. Love blinds hatred. And basically, love saves people from Satan. If you love somebody, somebody who's, got rats all over them, somebody who's in a swarm of cockroaches, somebody with unclean spirits all around them, you can't really chastise that person out of that. It's actually just going to sort of push them further in. So I guess you just have to love that person for who they are. And the more so that you do that, the more they themselves are going to pull away from, this flame of hatred. Or really, I feel like the message is that Satan, the presence of that love surrounding that person is going to actually blind them to Satan, so he will no longer be able to even see him, even mess with him, even get to them. But either way, it's a basic message, right? Love defeats hate. And so as my faith has grown, I don't know, I'm even surprised myself. I even self-reflect thinking wow, that whole flame of love thing is not a joke. Because a lot of the times, I want to believe, but is that the same thing as I believe? It's well, I'm skeptical and I have doubts, but I want to believe. I want it to be real. So I'm going to just do the prayers and the rituals that I read in the book. That's the best I can do, right? I don't know really how to get past that, right? Can you just will yourself into not having doubts? I feel like you have to sort of, just wade further and further into the water, into the deep end. Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'm even surprised sometimes. I'll think to myself wow, everything seems to be getting a lot better and nothing really has changed other than I don't know, my outlook, my acceptance, my tolerance, my patience, my humility. But nothing has materially or situationally really changed. And so I think, wow, the flame of love actually works. We need to keep doing this. And then so I feel what happened along this whole theme of love is that recently I've really been thinking a lot more about romance and love and romance. And seems every time I do, I just think of male romances, something like that. So yeah, I just feel strongly Jesus himself is actually the source of that voice that I hear in my head. And Jesus is the one telling me and encouraging me to feel this way, and to feel maybe not to feel this way, but to feel it's okay to feel this way. And maybe there even is still, some kind of future where same-sex relations aren't the most ideal situation. But again, it's kind of the whole doubts thing, right? You can't just will yourself into not having that. I feel it's at least got to run its course, or I've at least got to face reality and confess the truth, and from there I can ask for grace to either pivot in another direction or to go further down this path. But either way, I've never even really been able to get to this point. One time I even went to see a confessor to give confession at a church with a priest. And so my confession really was me wanting to get some guidance about the whole transgender thing. And even then, the priest in the confessional, he asked me something like, well, are you sure you're not just gay? And I think, sometimes I just think back and it's like, maybe this was more apparent and more obvious to a bunch of people, except me. Seems like everyone else is honestly more or less cool with it. Well, a lot of people anyways. And I'm actually the only one who's just like been in delusion and been unable to like do anything about this for a really long time. Something I thought too, remember back earlier in the video, like 10-15 minutes ago, when I talked about like, yeah, I was trans, but also I was kind of like transphobic. Maybe. I mean, I think I might be being too harsh to myself, but it's just a general idea. Just a sort of self-loathing, non-acceptance of anything like that. And I started wondering, like, maybe I really was just gay the whole time. But, you know, my non-acceptance of that sort of led me to believe that, like, well, it's literally easier and more believable and more okay for me to become a woman first. So then if I do want to have a male romance, then that'd be fine. Because a man and a woman, like, being together is, like, totally normal. And it's actually just, like, a roundabout way to just be delusional. Like, I don't know. You see where I'm going with this, though? It's somehow easier for me to accept a male to female transgender woman with a man, which is still a male-male relationship. It's easier for me to accept that than it is for me to just accept, like, straight up, it's just, like, two guys. And maybe I'm not wrong about that. And maybe this whole, like, transgender identity is still something that I want to pursue or look into. I don't know. I was honestly just excited, like, wow, I wish I had some friends and someone I could, like, talk to about this stuff. That'd be fun. But, nobody really comes to mind, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong for that. I do have, like, a friend. But I just feel like, this is going to sound really mean, but I just feel like, but I don't really like them. I feel like they're my friend because they're like my only friend. That's like my friend, my one friend. I just feel like we don't actually really, like, yeah, they're an extremely kind person who, like, has always been very kind to me. But also I feel like, I don't know, friendship is not just, like, a matter of, you know, logic and reasoning and, like, putting puzzle pieces together. I feel like friendship is an emotional, passionate connection of, like, just a vibe and a feeling. And I just feel like we're polite to one another, but, like, I don't really think that that's my ideal friend. I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong for that. Because at the end of the day, everyone else is gone. So maybe that really was my true friend the whole time. I just have a confused understanding of, like, what is a friend? How should a friend make you feel? How should you feel when you're with your friends? I don't know. But anyways, I've been I've just been reading manga about, like, gay romances, thinking, like, wow, I wish that was me. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, to be honest. Also, sometimes when I'm, like, resting my head on my pillow, ready to fall asleep, and I talk to myself, or I talk to Jesus in my thoughts, I use my imagination to think about love and romance. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So, I guess it was just hard for me to get to that. I had to say all this other stuff first to sort of, like, set the context or whatever. But, that's pretty much it. I've just been thinking about being in a relationship with a guy a lot more. And I've been reading manga about guys who are in relationships a lot more. And now I'm thinking, like, well, that wouldn't really be that bad. I don't even think that's, like, not Christian. I really don't. I think for a long time I couldn't stand on that, like, with my chest out. But I think I'm at a place now where, like, I mean, that's my understanding of Christianity. That's the revelation I've received from the graces I've received. Like, like, that's it. You know, I actually listened to a debate recently. It was a pretty serious debate. It was like a 2 or 3 hour debate. And it was between a super traditional Orthodox Christian, like a Greek Orthodox Christian, something like that. And he took the position of being, like, anti-gay. And in the debate, he was versus, like, a Protestant, like, gay pastor, like some kind of, I want to say, like, Episcopalian, maybe. I could be wrong, but some kind of, like, Protestant Christian who was, like, pro-LGBT. And then I felt like, okay, this Orthodox Christian, I can't remember his last name, I'm pretty sure his name is Andrew. He, like, completely dominated this LGBT Protestant Christian in the debate. Like, it was a slaughter. And then I felt like, and that's why the pro-LGBT position is the correct one. Because he lost the debate, and that's a good thing, and that's why he's right. That's like, I know it sounds like mental gymnastics, but, like, that's just my understanding, right? Like, that's, I don't know, like, it's just more of, like, a reliance on faith and knowing that, like, well, if you're going to follow Christ, you're going to do so with humility. And when people, like, make accusations against you, like, you're going to be silent. And when they're using all their, like, fancy, like, sophist words to, like, win the debates, you're not going to have any fancy responses, because being, like, uneducated and meek and humble is literally, like, the superior Christian position. So literally, like, losing that debate was winning the debate for me, right? That really was, like, my take from that. And I just, the more I deal with this issue, like, reconciling these two ideologies, like the LGBT side and the Christianity side, I just feel like I cannot, what do I want to say? Like, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything. I mean, when Jesus speaks on the, I think it's Matthew 19, he speaks on the issue of the eunuchs. People who have been made eunuchs, or people who have made themselves eunuchs. Regardless of the eunuchs, though, right? He ends that teaching by saying, like, you know, let him who can accept this accept it. And that kind of sticks out to me anyways. You know, if you can accept it, then accept it. And if it's for you to accept it, then accept it. I'm not saying everyone has to accept it. I'm only saying he who can accept it should accept it. That's it. And I don't know. It's really a vibe thing for me. It really comes down to like, okay, like facts versus feelings. Like facts don't care about your feelings. I know. I guess they're both important, but part of me really feels like facts and debate and contention and argument and conflict and reasoning and logic, these are more so on the judicial, basically satanic side of things, But then like the feeling of mercy and compassion and love and acceptance and tolerance and togetherness is more on the just like the Christian side of things, you know what I mean? Just like, that's more like New Testament, I feel like. It's more just, yeah. And I can't really say one is superior to the other. Well, I feel like mercy is superior to justice. I would say that. I just feel like, I don't know. It's not to say like one is straight up wrong, but who knows? Everything in the right context, everything in its season. Anyways, I'm getting cold. I'm going to head back in. We are having a party after all. Now it's gotten so dark, you can't even see me anymore. So anyways, thanks for listening. I pray that the Lord bless you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.